Thank you for watching another episode of Darker Thing, a show that brings you deep dives into history's most disturbing event, personalities, true crime, conspiracy theories, and urban legend. I'm your host, Doug Duncan, here to remind you that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Imagine, if you will, that you live in small town USA. There's not much to do but to hang out with your best friend and walk around the neighborhood looking for something different. You and your friends stick out like sore thumbs because you both wear lots of black, listen to heavy metal music, wear a heavy metal t-shirt, and your town is a bit of a Bible belt. You wake up one morning and are a suspect in the slaying of three gray boys. Why are you a suspect? Because your best friend is considered the main suspect in what is believed to be a ritual satanic child sacrifice. You have just entered the world of Jason Baldwin of the West Memphis 3, the subject of this episode. So according to Jason's old lawyer, Paul Ford, and his buddies and family, he's a quiet, easygoing dude. Y'all say he aced his classes and took care of his... Some folks would point out how skinny he is, thinking just no chance like a guy like him could pull off crazy crime like that. You know, history's got this lesson for us. Never judge a book by its cover. There's this Japanese story saying people wear three faces. The first one's for the world. Second one's for a friend and your family. And that third face, well, that's the real deal. The one you keep under wraps. The true you. So here's the deal. If you thought you knew Jason, turns out you didn't. Thanks to some messed up fantasy from an older buddy, Jason ended up being capable of some serious dark stuff, including murder. Kind of like Jeffrey Dahmer, you know? People thought Dahmer was a shy, polite guy. Even had a prom date with Bridget Geiger who vouched for that. But Dahmer had his issue, like a broken home, trouble with alcoholism, and this weird dealings of him with dead animals. Nobody think he'd be violent to people. Now, Jason's story got a similar vibe. Broken home, sure. But he was also into vandalizing and stealing. Not exactly this some folks painted him out. I mean, oh man, he had this thing for hunting and offing, even when as far as skinning them. That's kind of weird because of what went down with Christopher Pine. I hate to go there. No, they took off Myers' bits. Like the whole deal? Pretty gruesome to talk about. Gotta be real. I gotta say this, unfortunately. But what about Ted Bundy, right? I mean, the guy was smart and sharp. Super kind to people. That he knew both in the professional and the social scene. Check this out. He even volunteered at the Seattle Suicide Hotline Center, helping top folks out of some dark places. And after his shift, he made sure to follow up, volunteer down to her car and make sure she got to her car safely at night. Here's the twist. Not only did she believe he was innocent at first, but all of his co-workers too. Buddy was like this respected figure in social and political circle. Crazy, right? Because no one thought a nice guy like him could pull off something so terrible. All right. Some motives don't make sense, you know? The whole point here is to show that just because someone doesn't seem like a killer, doesn't mean they're not capable of it. Murderer. They're all sorts of people. Gotta take each case as it comes. So even if Jason seems all mild and shy to them or to you, doesn't mean he couldn't pull off something horrific. And trust me, he did. Here's the deal. We can pin Jason to the crime with two things. First up, Jesse spilled the beans multiple times. And then there's Damien, who told Jennifer Barden, and Jason's girlfriend at the time, Heather, that Jason was with him that night. Back to Jennifer. On May 5th, 1993, sometime between 5:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. So, get this. His mom, Gail, worked from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. that evening. There's just no way she drove Jason anywhere. Damien's pulling a weird move by lying about that, but hey, we still know they were hanging out because Damien called Heather, Jason's girlfriend at the time, around 10:30 p.m. He was with Jason, just wandering around. Now here's the curveball. In a 2008 affidavit, Heather spills that one of the murder victims, Christopher Byers, was at her place on May 5th, 1993. Pretty damn odd, right? Another funky piece in the puzzle. Well, back to Gail. Let's dive deeper into her. Gail Grinnell, Jason's mother, was keen on her son, chatting with the po-po. When the West Memphis detectives tried to talk to Jason, Damien and Dominique on May 9th, 1993, Gail went ballistic. She straight up told the detectives to back off from her son. They tried to reason, but Gail wouldn't budge. Bound. You have the right to do that. But it wasn't exactly the move of a mom who believed her son was innocent. It felt more like a mom ready to shield her kid at any cost. I mean, why wouldn't she want Jason to spill the beans and share his alibi? Why not have her son give him any info to the cops to clear his name? Fast forward to September 23rd, 1993, during an interview with Jason Baldwin, one of the state prosecutors. He asked Gail why she all aggressive on the detectives that day. Weird stuff, huh? All right. But Baldwin is like, hey, why'd you flip when the cops were talking to Jason and the gang in front of your trailer? And she shoots back. Those rumors about them got me all worked up. Baldwin's catching on and says, so you didn't want the cops talking to Jason? She's all straight up. No. And by the way, Angela is also out, just to clear that up. So my bad for not mentioning that earlier. Baldwin keeps digging. All right, spill it. What? Gail says, I thought Damien was guilty or something. Didn't want Jason rolling with him. Baldwin's curious. You thought Jason told you something scary? Angela's like, yeah, no, I didn't. Baldwin's persistent, that's sure about that? And Gail's all, yeah, I'm sure. Sum it up. Gail first thought Damien was guilty and didn't want her kid with him. She figured if Jason was with Damien that night, be game over. Well, Jason claimed he was heading to Walmart with Ken Watkins allegedly. But we know that's bullshit because Jennifer and Heather spilled the beans. Damien told them that he was with Jason that night, and there's no one else but Jesse that could vouch for them being together. Tangled web, my friend. Check this out. It's kind of wild. Jess Baldwin, Jason's grandma on his dad's side, wasn't shocked at all about Jason being involved. In June the 5th edition of the Memphis Commercial Appeal, she spilled the beans. I thought in my own mind, when those boys were killed, that my grandson is sort of superstitious about the devil stuff. According to Jesse May Baldwin. Apparently, he was always messing with lizards and things, and she had this feeling something was off in his head. Now Jesse, who's 76, and her husband, who's 82, found out about their grandson getting busted from a TV report on the Friday morning. She goes to the husband, well, she looked at each other and said, I don't know what the boy has on his mind killing people like that. Pretty crazy, right? You've got Jason's grandparents thinking he's the guy, and then there's Gail, who's at least caught in thinking Damien had a hand in it. And of course, she ended up backtrack, because if it could be proven that Damien and Jason were together, and that messes with Jason's story big time. Total roller coaster of opinion, man. All right, check this out. Paradise Lost, during the whole childhood murders drama at Robin Hood Hills, Jason's lawyer, Paul Ford, hits him with a hypothetical. He's like, if you were on the jury, would you have found Damien guilty? Ford keeps going, would it be tough for you to let him off the hook? And Jason goes, yeah. And Ford's like, me too. But what's interesting, Ford's game plan wasn't to prove Jason innocent. Nah, he was all about just planting the seed of doubt. So get this, Jason's own attorney wasn't sold on Damien's innocence. And he thought Jason's alibis were like all over the place. His mom, uncle, brother, and buddies, all giving different stories about where he was the night of May the 5th, 1993. The alibis were so shaky that Ford smartly decided not to use any of them, knowing they wouldn't hold up under cross-examination. Damien put Jason on the map for that night. Ford wasn't vibing with everything Damien putting Damien on the stand hurt them. But Paul Ford wasn't about to repeat that mistake with Jason. That would be sus. See, Damien's lawyers were all about proving innocent, but Ford was playing a different game. He aimed to create reasonable doubt, poking holes in the state's case. Now, Ford drops his gem in his closing argument. They want you to think he's an accomplice, guilty by association. Because he's chilling with Damien, they want you to convict him. But do you agree with everything your pals believe? Do you do everything with all your friends? Some friends might have different beliefs or do stuff you ain't into. Guilt by association's messed up. That's what they're gunning for in this case. And he points out how the instruction says you gotta find they aided, agreed to aid, or attempted to aid to call them an accomplice. Heavy stuff, right? So, where's the proof? Well, aside from Jesse's confessions piling up, Damien pointing fingers at Jason for being with him that night pretty much tags him as an accomplice. It's like Damien had some serious sway over Jason. This, Jason's buddy from the hood, Samuel Dwyer, spilled the beans in an affidavit. He's like, Jason snagged a black trench coat after hanging with Damien, and even started talking like him. Total copycat. For the record, the Jentic was basically Damien's shadow, all around everywhere. Damien was the older dude, and Jason clearly looked up to him. Kind of makes sense that Damien influenced Jason, shaping his way of thinking over a period of time. Maybe he, groomed him. Here's another nugget. When Damien tried to make a run for it with that's Deanna Holcomb, guess who was lending a helping hand? Yep. Jason. Damien even said Jason would never give me up. Boom. There you have it. Now, the West Memphis 3 Revelations blog dropped some knowledge, too. They shared forensic psychologist Catherine Ramsland's take on a common dynamics among duos in crime. She says lots of times one person is the dominant force who lures the other into sharing and acting on their twisted fantasy. Become messed up, you know? This rings true for cases like Sheila and Rachel, the killers of Skylar. And when you look at Damien, Jason, and Jesse, kind of falls into place. Damien was the big shot. Jason and Jesse, they were a follower. No doubt. So here's the deal. Damien's messed up fantasies about torturing and offing someone are like the spark that set off this whole crap. How do you make sense that if Jason and Jesse weren't hanging Damien, probably wouldn't end up involved in this murder scene? I know, I'm throwing some speculation out there, but it's based on some legit trends and research. Now, the crime scene was a bit of a mess with the bodies, clothes, and stuff soaking in water for about 18 hours. They found red fibers that match a bathrobe from Baldwin's place on the victim. In 2012, West Memphis 3, the star-studded defense team, tried to argue against this. But hey, let's be real. I mean, these are the same folks who got O.J. Simpson and Anthony off the hook. Forgive me, but I can't help but feel their findings might be a bit biased. The fibers decayed over time, and the original expert who checked them out is no longer around to back up her original findings. That's kind of convenient. Just throwing that out there, you know? Alright. Let's talk about this character, Michael Carson's testimony against Jason. I won't dig too deep into it because I'm kind of iffy about jailhouse snitch testimony. Not the most reliable, you know? But to be fair, not all snitch stories are bogus. Take Susan Atkins in the Manson murders of '69, for instance. She spilled the beans to Virginia Graham and Veronica Howard, leading to more arrests and cracking the case wide open. Carson claims Baldwin spilled the beans to him. I won't spill all the details, but it's worth mentioning that Carson spilled the beans after getting out and was not facing any charges. There's really nothing in it for him. Getting a reduced sentence or it. I mean, sure, maybe he wanted his face on TV, but that's just us speculating. And Carson also aced a polygraph. But if you listen to me before, you know my take on polygraphs. They don't really sway me one way or the other. Gotta mention it. In '96, Carson stuck to a story, despite a musician claiming he lied about Baldwin's confession. Danny Williams, Carson's recovery counselor, also chimed in, thinking Carson was making up the jailhouse confession. Williams had heard about the child murder case from Carson and believed he was fibbing about Baldwin's confession. But Baldwin himself, in his first post-conviction interview, said he never talked to Carson during the 48-hour lockdown. He thought Carson was in lockdown the whole time and they couldn't have chatted. But then in another view, he suggested that he might have shared the space with Carson. If either Baldwin or Carson were locked down and isolated, you think any lawyer Jason ever had would have been able to confirm those details, right? I mean, if he hadn't been in lockdown with Carson, they could have refuted that. That would have been thrown out quick. So, all right, let's talk about Mike and Carson's testimony against Jason. Here's the twist. Don't focus on whether they ever shared the same space. Weird, right? And Carson later spilled the beans in the documentary West of Memphis, which was bankrolled by Peter Jackson of the Lord of the Rings fame and produced by Ethel and his wife Lori Davis. With this interview, Carson drops a bomb saying he wasn't sure about his actions during the trial because he was on LSD, man. Now, West Memphis 3 supporters jump on this, claiming Carson was recanting. Hold up, bump the brakes. Carson never actually said he lied, just that he didn't know what he was doing. Here's the kicker. Money was thrown around for participating in this documentary. You know, money can make people do some crazy stuff, right? We take John Mark Byers, acting all crazy in the Paradise Lost series. Money talks, man. I'm not fully sold on Carson's testimony, but I'm also not ready to scream, "Fire!" just yet. I mean, Carson didn't have anything to gain by testifying against Jason, but he did have something to gain financially by saying those things in West of Memphis. He didn't recant. Let's leave it to you to be the judge. Now let's talk about the knife. On November 17, 1993, law enforcement found a survival knife in a lake right behind Jason's trailer. The catch? The knife maps the type used to inflict some of the victim's injuries. West Memphis 3 supporters and their attorneys, though they spin a bunch of theories on how the knife got there, ignoring Occam's razor. Damien and Jason's lawyers claim the police planted it, and it wasn't Jason. Later, the theory does a 180, saying the prosecution knew it was there because it got tossed in the water a year before the murder. Samuel Dwyer even pitched, saying Gil Brunel chucked it in the lake because she didn't want Jason having knife. Different strokes, huh? The only question I got is this. One sudden switch? Why didn't Jason just own to owning the knife in the first place? So Dennis Dick, Gail's boyfriend back then, that's Jason's mom, says he saw Jason with a knife matching the lake one. Now, Jason confirms this later, years after getting convicted. The whole knife in the lake saga gets weirder. Gail shares 2 completely different stories on a West Memphis 3 Facebook group. In one post, she says Jason chucked it in the lake a year earlier by accident. But then she starts talking about the police framing Jason because she turned down Officer Murray's advancing. I mean, come on. Does that sound logical to anybody? Fast forward to an online chat where Matt Baldwin, Jason's younger brother, goes by Smudge, spills another story. He says Jason chucked the knife in the lake after the murders because the police were sniffing around. Jesse Miskelly's multiple confessions come into play, accusing Jason of having the knife and doing some gruesome stuff to Christopher Myers. And we know Jason has some skills from skinning snakes and other critters, because Jesse was knocking back some whiskey. Who knows how reliable he is a guy, really? Things get messier, don't they? Did he just get it all wrong? I mean, memory can play tricks, right? Jesse's confessions couldn't be used in the Baldwin-Eccles trial, but let's not brush off hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. It's a game changer. Always has been, always will be. And who knows? Maybe Jason had more than one knife with him. That lake knife, though, and the wounds it caused, let's dive into that. Sean Wheeler, a longtime West Memphis researcher, did some digging on what was once labeled as a human bite mark on Stevie French's forehead. Now, this was buzzing on blogs and Facebook groups back in the day. According to West Memphis 3 Facts webpage, Wheeler had two dental experts compare the wound, the missing compass slot on the handle of the lake knife. Forensics odontologist Homer Campbell and Peter Loomis gave their vid and hit the doozy. Campbell believes the injuries matched the knife recovered or a similar one. Loomis says, bingo! The circular mark on Stevie's forehead lines up with the butt of the survival knife, and the lacerations under the eyebrow match the serrations on the back of the knife. And yeah, this demonstrated in court that the lake knife could replicate the wound patterns found on the bodies. The defense argued against it, saying using fruit wasn't scientific. Come on now. Wood, fruit, flesh, those patterns are going to leave the same impressions. It's pretty straightforward. Fast forward to March 19, 1994. Jason Baldwin's found guilty on 3 counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison. And fast forward to August 19, 2011. Along with Damien and Jesse, they all took the Alford plea. That's basically saying, yeah, okay, you got enough evidence to convict us, but we're sticking to our innocent story. And in return, we get to walk free. Now, some folks will swear up and down that Jason always claimed he was innocent, even to this day. But hey, Scott Peterson also claimed to be innocent. Look where that got us. Dumping his pregnant wife's body in the San Francisco Bay on Christmas? Listen, forgive me if I'm not overly impressed by a murderer sticking to their innocent story. Well, hey, awesome peeps. That's about all we have for you today. I want to thank you for hanging out with us here at Darker Things. If you done what we dished out, well, why not hit that subscribe button and ring that bell? It's like that secret handshake to join our cool club, where we unravel mysteries and stuff. Spell the T in the comments. What's your take on Jason Baldwin? Guilty or innocent? Share your thoughts. And hey, we're big kids. Give us a thumb up if you enjoyed the ride, or a thumbs down if we missed the mark. Until next time, I'm your host, Doug Duncan. Here with a reminder, as always, that once you enter the dark, you may never be the same.